The term that best refers to the past costs that have been incurred and are not relevant to any future decisions. Is discretionary costs wrong? Because discretionary costs are the costs that are the result of periodic decisions by the management, like money to be spent on research and development, money to be spent on marketing. So this is not what we are looking for. This is the cost to be incurred in the future. Full absorption cost. This is incorrect because full absorption cost involves fixed production cost as well as the variable cost of production. This is not what we are looking for. Incurred marginal costs. Marginal costs are additional cost of producing 1 unit of production. So incurred marginal costs are basically variable cost of production, direct material, direct labor, and variable overhead, and it also includes the avoidable fixed costs. So C is incorrect as well. It's sunk cost. Yes, sunk costs are the costs that have been incurred in the past and they are irrelevant for any future decisions. So that is our right option, sunk cost. What term is used to represent unavoidable past costs that cannot be changed no matter what action is taken? Sunk cost. Prime cost is the sum of direct material and direct labor. Opportunity cost, on the other hand, it's the cost of next best alternative. Basically, these are the cost of foregoing the next best alternative when choosing among different options, different decisions. This is not an incremental cost. Incremental cost, sometimes also called the marginal cost. These are the additional costs incurred to produce 1 extra unit of production. And this is not what we are looking for. We got our answer B. Jackson Company is considering a project that will use 2,000 square feet of storage space at one of its facilities to store used equipment. What will determine Jackson's opportunity cost? What he's giving up? The net present value of the project? No, because net present value is the difference between what benefit we will expect from the asset or project minus initial investment. And this is not the opportunity cost. Internal rate of return, it is the return generated by the project. The value of the next best use of space. Yes, space could have been used for some other purpose. Maybe we could have used it to store some other material, or we could have used this space to be used as a parking lot or anything, any alternative use. So that makes C to be the correct option. The depreciation expense on the space, clearly this is not the opportunity cost. This is not the next best use of the space. It's just an expense that needs to be allocated. So we got our answer. C is the best option. Egan Company owns land that could be developed in the future. Egan estimates it can sell the land for 1.2 million right now, net of all selling costs. And if not sold, Egan will continue with its plan to develop the land. As Egan evaluates its options for development or sale of the property, what type of cost would the potential selling price represent in Egan decision? The price that he can get right now, he's giving this up to develop the land. So what he's giving up, what he is sacrificing, is what you call the opportunity cost. B is the right option. Look no further. It's not sunk cost. It's the benefit he's giving up for some alternative decision. An important concept in decision making is described as the contribution to income that is foregone, given up, sacrificed by not using a limited resource to its best alternative use. What you're giving up is the opportunity cost. C. The relevance of a particular cost to a decision is determined by riskiness, number of decision variables, accuracy of the cost. All these are incorrect because the relevance of a particular cost to a decision or to action is not determined by any of these. Riskiness, potential effect on risk of decision variables, as well as accuracy of cost. The relevance is determined how this particular situation or cost affects the decision, its potential effect on the decision. C is the right option. In decision analysis situation, which of the following cost is generally not relevant to decision? Incremental cost is relevant. avoidable cost is relevant, opportunity cost is relevant, historical cost, the sunk cost, it is irrelevant. In a joint product costing and analysis, which of the following costs is relevant when deciding the point at which the product should be sold in order to maximize profit? Company's president's salary has to be paid whether we go on with the further processing or not. Purchase cost of the materials required for the joint product is the cost incurred before the split off point, so it is again irrelevant. Joint cost till the point of split off is also irrelevant. Separable cost after the split off point is the only relevant cost in this given situation. A is the right option. Costs relevant to make or buy decision include variable labor, variable material, as well as depreciation is irrelevant, it's a fixed cost. Factory management cost is irrelevant because you have to pay it whether you carry on with this product or you just buy it from outside. Property taxes is also irrelevant. What is relevant is the avoidable fixed cost, that is C. A company is offered a one-time special order for its product and has the capacity to take this order without losing current business. Variable cost per unit and the fixed cost in total will be the same. The gross profit for the special order firm will be 10%, which is 15% less than the usual gross profit. What impact will this order have on the total fixed cost and the operating income? There's no doubt total fixed costs do not change because it says total fixed cost would stay the same. And operating income increases because even there is less percentage profit, but since you are selling more, your operating income will go up. So that makes B to be the correct option. The opportunity cost of making a component part where there is no alternative use. When there is no alternative use, the opportunity cost is 0. Look no further. When there is no alternative use, opportunity cost is 0. That is D. Which of the following statements is true regarding opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is recorded in the accounts. No, it's not recorded. Totally irresponsible assertion. This is wrong. A is impossible. It's not recorded anywhere. B. The potential benefit is not sacrificed when selecting an alternative. It is sacrificed. What you sacrifice is the opportunity cost. This is incorrect as well. Idle space that has no alternative use has an opportunity cost equal to 0. When you're not giving up anything, where you're not sacrificing anything, opportunity cost is 0. Correct option. C is the correct option. Why not D? Opportunity cost is representative of actual dollar outlay, not actual dollar outlay, not actual out-of-pocket cost. There is no actual dollar amount paid. It's just what you are giving up. The benefit foregone is what you call opportunity cost. D is wrong as well. Next. In situations when management must decide on accepting or rejecting one-time only special orders, where there is sufficient idle capacity, we are operating at 70% plant capacity, 30% is what you call the idle capacity. Which of the following is not relevant to the decision? Incremental cost, yes, it is relevant. Variable cost, material labor, it is relevant. Direct cost like direct material, direct labor, it is relevant. Absorption cost, this is irrelevant. Your fixed overheads. Absorption costs are not relevant in this situation because the rent, insurance, property taxes, depreciation, they are incurred anyway, whether we take on this special order or not. So, this is the right option. Komal Incorporated has two major product lines, stoves and dryers. Komal's management wants to evaluate whether discontinuing dryers will increase profits. Which of the following is best for evaluating discontinuance of the dryer product line? The only thing that is relevant is the relevant cost. What you are, when you switch your productive resources from one use to another, what is the cost you are going to avoid, avoidable cost, or the relevant cost, which could be variable and fixed. So not absorption costing, that is direct material, direct labor, variable overhead, fixed overhead, not variable costing only, not throughput costing, which is only throughput cost is just the direct material. And throughput margin is the sales price minus the direct material only, whereas the regular contribution margin is sales minus direct material, direct labor, variable overheads minus variable selling, variable administration. In other words, all the variable expenses, if deducted from sales, gives you contribution margin. Throughput margin is just selling price or sales minus direct material only. That is not the agenda for the current lecture. We got our correct option C. Coupland Incorporated produces X547 in a joint manufacturing process. The company is studying whether to sell X547 at the split of point or upgrade the product to become xylene. The following information has been gathered. Which items should be reviewed when making the upgrade decision, or which of these are relevant? Selling price per pound of X547 is relevant. Variable manufacturing cost of upgrade process, that is the incremental cost, is relevant. Avoidable fixed cost of upgrade process, it is relevant. Selling price per pound of xylene after it is further processed, it is relevant. The cost that has already been incurred up to the split of point is irrelevant. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's B. The opportunity cost of making a component part in a factory with no excess capacity, is the fixed manufacturing cost of the component. This is not what you're giving up. The cost of production given up in order to manufacture the component, not the cost given up. The benefit given up is opportunity cost. Wrong. Net benefit given up, yes. What you give up, what you sacrifice benefits. You don't sacrifice cost. Net benefit given up for the best alternative use of the capacity, that is the right option. Why not D? Total manufacturing cost of the component. No, total manufacturing cost is not what you give up. What you give up is the benefit, and that's what you call the opportunity cost, C. Huron Industry has recently developed 2 new products, a cleaning unit of laser discs and a tape duplicator for reproducing home movies taken with video cameras. However, Huron has only enough plant capacity to produce one of these products during the current year. The company controller has gathered the following data to assist management in deciding which product should be selected for production. Huron's fixed overhead includes rent and utilities, fixed overheads, equipment depreciation, supervisory salaries. They make sense. Selling and administrative expenses are not allocated to products, and that is the right thing because they are not production cost. Hence, they cannot be made a part of the product cost. So, what we have been given: the direct material, direct labor. These 2 are direct labor, machining and assembly, variable overheads and fixed overhead. And these are our 4 costs of production: direct material, direct labor in machining and assembly, and variable overheads and the fixed overheads. Okay. Suggested selling price for these 2 items is this and this respectively. Actual research and development cost already spent is sunk cost. Proposed advertisement and promotion cost, which you are going to spend based upon the decision, is the discretionary cost. Now, the research and development cost for Huron 2 new products have already been spent, gone, poof. This is the sunk cost. Relevant costs are the avoidable fixed cost, variable overheads, direct labor and direct material. So this is not what we're looking for. Opportunity cost is what you give up, the benefit given up. And avoidable costs are the costs that can be avoided by either performing that process more efficiently or completely discontinuing that process. So we got our answer A is the right option. Sunk cost. Actual research and development cost already spent is gone, is the sunk cost. Johns Corporation had an opportunity to use its capacity to produce an extra 5,000 units with a contribution margin of $5 per unit. This is one option, and this option will get you $25,000, or to rent out the space for $10,000. What is the opportunity cost of using the capacity? When you use this capacity to generate this $25,000 contribution, you are giving this $10,000 up. The benefit given up is what you call the opportunity cost, and what you're giving up is $10,000. D is the correct option. Before we do this question, let us consider a situation. We have three products A, B, C, and they generate unit contribution margin of $10, $20, and $15, let's say. If you need to decide which of these units are good, I would find B to be the best because it gives me the highest contribution available among these three. But let's say if we are working in a situation where there is a constraint, maybe limited machine hours or labor hours. Let's talk about we have limited machine hours and A takes 1 machine hour, B takes 5 machine hour, and C takes 3 machine hour. Now if we divide your unit contribution margin with the constraint 10 by 1, $10 per machine hour, 20 by 5, that is $4 per machine hour, and that's going to be $5 per machine hour. Now if I have 1 hour available, if I spend that 1 hour on A, I get $10 of contribution per machine hour. 4 for B, 5 for C. See how the things change. Now A would be my first and foremost priority. If I could spare some machine hours, then I will take on C. And if still I have some hours left, I will then go for B. So the product that has the highest contribution may not necessarily be the most profitable when you are facing a constraint. So when a multi-product plant operates at full capacity, quite often decisions must be made as to which product to emphasize. These decisions are frequently made with a short-run focus. In making such decisions, managers should select the products with not the highest selling price, not the one with the highest contribution margin, but the highest contribution margin per constraining resources, which in our example is the machine hour. It could be labor hour or machining department or testing department or assembly department hours. Whichever constraint you are facing, you use that constraint as a denominator and then you decide. C is the option. The CPA, the external auditor, reviewed the minutes of a board of directors meeting of LQR Corporation, an audit client. An order for widget handles was outsourced to ST Corporation because LQR couldn't fill the order. So we had to outsource. By having SDT produce the order, LQR was able to realize $100,000 in sales profits that otherwise would have been lost. Outsourcing made this gain. The outsourcing added a cost of $10,000, but LQR was ahead of $90,000, still 100 less 10, 90, when the order was completed. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the LQR's action? The use of resource markets outside of LQR involves opportunity cost. It's better to move in the reverse order. Explicit costs, also called the out-of-pocket cost or the accounting costs, they are not opportunity cost. Explicit costs are out-of-pocket cost. They are not opportunity cost, hence I am going to reject this option. Implicit cost, also called the opportunity cost or the cost that do not result in any dollar outflow or outlay, are opportunity cost. So implicit costs are opportunity cost. They are opportunity cost. Accounting profit is a total revenue minus explicit costs only. Accounting profit does not consider the opportunity cost or the implicit cost. So BCD are wrong, so that means A must be correct. Now what is A? The use of resource markets outside of LQR involves opportunity cost. When you outsource your product or service, you are giving up something. Either you are giving up some benefit or you might avoid some cost. So use of resource markets for outsourcing involves opportunity cost is the correct option. Next. In evaluating cost for decision making, a company would always consider each of the following as relevant, except incremental cost. When you produce 10,000 units, your cost is $560,000, let's say. And when you produce 12,000 units, your cost turns 610. So the extra cost of these 2,000 units, which you can calculate as to be $50,000, is what you call the incremental cost. Or if you compare these two, the difference between these two cost levels is also called the differential cost. Differential cost is the difference between it is relevant, avoidable cost is relevant. Variable cost, frequently they are relevant, but they are not always relevant. Relevant costs are those costs that will change in response to the selection of different courses of action, like shipping cost. We pay this cost whether the order is for a certain special customer or to a regular customer. So in that case, it is not changing. So in this case, it's irrelevant, right? So variable cost may or may not be relevant. Hence, this is the right option. A company had a choice between project X and project Y. The net present value of the project X is 1 million and the net present value of the project Y is 750. The company chose project X and not Y. So what you gave up is 750. So what you give up, the benefit foregone, is what you call the opportunity cost. B is the right option. The Danforth Corporation circuit production plant has 12,000 unit capacity and currently produces 10,000 circuits per year. So we have spare capacity available. The company incurs 50,000 in variable costs for its current production and carries a $40,000 fixed cost burden. If Danforth has an opportunity to fill a special order for 1,000 circuit boards, for which we do have the available capacity, the price per unit for the order should exceed, see, this is the variable cost. This is the current level of production, 50,000 upon 10,000. So this $5 is the relevant variable cost to be paid right now for production. So our price should be more than this in order to generate some profit. So that makes B to be the correct option. Fixed costs are not relevant in the short run decision making, remember. A company with limited production resources that is currently using strategy C provides the following production information. Units produce product X, product Y, so they have different combination of X and Y. The company would encounter what opportunity cost if it doubled its production of X from 2 to 400. So if you move from 200 to 400, Y is gone. Y is gone. You give up 150 units of Y. So opportunity cost of increasing your production from 200 to 400 is the 150 units of product Y. The company would encounter what opportunity cost if it doubled its production of product X? Product Y would be eliminated. You lose 150 units of Y. C is the right option. Cater Company is a manufacturer of industrial components. One of their product that is used as a sub-component into auto manufacturing is KB96. This is the detail given. The product has the following financial structure per unit: selling price, direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, and variable shipping and handling. I'm not going to consider the fixed cost in this decision, that you will know the reason. Cater has received a special one-time order for 1000 KBS 96 parts. Assuming Cater has excess capacity and not giving up anything, the minimum price that is acceptable for this one-time special order is in excess of 20, 15, 12 and 3. If you add all these, the total would be $50. So anything above 50 is acceptable, not below this. So this is the absolute minimum, in excess of 50. That means if I'm taking a special order, I should at least recover material, labor, variable overheads, and this shipping handling cost. All variable cost must be recovered. This is the minimum price. Anything above 50 will increase my profitability in the short run. Roder Incorporated manufactures a component in a router assembly. The selling price and unit cost data for the component: selling price, material, labor, variable overhead, and that's all. The company received a special one-time order of 1000 components. Roder has an alternative use of production capacity for 1000 components that would produce a contribution margin of $5,000. What amount is the lowest unit price Roder should accept for the component? So previously we just added up all the variable cost, excluding selling price. So it's going to be $9. So if there was excess capacity, no sacrifice made, no benefit given up, this would have been the minimum price, and then A would have been the right answer. But since we are giving up $5,000 contribution for these 1000 units of special order, so every unit of this special order should be charged with this $5 of the loss contribution. So $5,000 loss contribution divided by the units in the special one-time order, $5. So I must be paid at least $14, at least $14. This is again an important point, and I would repeat, if there was no opportunity cost, if the company had excess capacity, $9 would have been the answer. Since we are giving up 5,000 of contribution for these 1000 additional or 1000 special one-time order units, 5,000 upon 1,000. $5 is the lost contribution on per unit of this special order. So I must charge at least $14 for this special order. C is the right option. Danforth Corporation's circuit production plant has 10,000 units capacity, currently producing 10,000 units per year. The company incurs $50,000 in variable cost for its current production and carries a $40,000 fixed cost burden. Danforth has explored other alternatives and knows that the next best alternative would be a 2,000 contribution margin for a 1,000 units run. If Danforth has opportunity to fill a special order of 1,000 circuit boards, the price per unit would be, normally if we were not supposed to give up anything, our variable cost would have been 5,000 upon $10,000, 5 per unit. Since for these 1,000 units we are giving up this $2,000 extra contribution for 1,000 unit run, so that means 2,000 upon $1.2 is being given up for any special order. So the price, the minimum price we should charge is 7, or anything above 7 would be good for us. If Danforth has an opportunity to fill a special order of 1,000 circuit boards, the price per unit of the order should be at least 7 or above. C. Cater Company, we have done this question just a little while ago. The relevant cost was material, labor, variable overheads and the shipping. Now, the minimum price that is acceptable for one-time special order is in excess of. Are we giving up anything? Let's see. Assume that Cater is operating at full capacity and that the next best alternative use of their capacity on existing equipment is LB64 that would produce $10,000 contribution. So if there was no alternative use of this facility, then we have added simply all that and that would have given us the minimum price. It's going to be $15, $30, $50, right? But since now we are losing this contribution, if we take the special order and on per unit basis, $10,000 divided by 1,000, so it's going to be $10. So the minimum price, just like the previous question, is to be at least $60. The minimum price is $60. That makes B to be the correct option. The following information is available on Cranes Company's 2 product lines, chairs and tables, their selling price, variable cost, contribution margins, fixed cost, avoidable and unavoidable both given, and there is an operating income or loss given on both of these product lines. Assuming the tables line is discontinued, you decide to discontinue table lines and the factory space previously used to make tables is rented for $25,000 per year. Operating income will decrease or increase by what amount? If you discontinue tables, you lose this 18,000 contribution. It's a loss. Loss of contribution is negative. But you will also avoid this fixed cost. That's a benefit. Unavoidable are unavoidable, so you can't consider this in the decision making. Now, this is the net loss, 18,000 negative, plus so you get a net loss of 6,000 if you discontinue tables. But when the facility becomes vacant, you can rent it out and you can make a $24,000 rental income every year, which means that overall 18,000 increase in profit is expected. That makes B to be the correct option. A company normally sells a product for $12 per unit. The plant capacity is 100,000 units per month. Currently, we are producing at 75,000 units per month. So we have 25% idle capacity. Current costs are as follows: material, labor, fixed plant, facility cost and shipping cost in total as well as on per unit basis. The company received a one-time special order for 10,000 units and we have spare capacity which would be shipped in bulk to the buyer at a cost of $5,000 for these 10,000 units, so it's basically 0.5 per unit. What amount is the minimum selling price per unit that the company should accept for the special order? Minimum. We need to recover the material cost, labor cost, fixed plant capacity is irrelevant, shipping cost is irrelevant because we are charging $0.5 separately for the shipping. So it's 4 plus 3, 7 plus 0.5. It's 7.5 and that makes D to be the minimum price we should charge for the special order. Okay, the following information is available on Tackler Company's 2 products, chairs and tables. We discussed this a little while ago. Assuming Tackler discontinues the tables line and does not replace it, the company's operating income will you lose $18,000 worth of contribution, and you also avoid this $12,000 of fixed cost. If you discontinue tables, you lose $6,000 in your operating income. So your operating income will decrease by $6,000. This unavoidable fixed cost is irrelevant, so we have just ignored this in our computation. It's not relevant. Waller Valley plant is operating at capacity and currently generating revenue of $1.6 million per year by processing stewed wally for cat food. The plant currently has a 15% contribution margin. The company has been offered the opportunity to prepare stewed sturgeon for upscale cat food using 1/4 of the plant capacity. The sturgeon job would take 1 year and pay $600,000 with a 25% contribution margin. The opportunity cost of not accepting the sturgeon project, what you give up? You give up this $600,000 of revenue, of which 25% is contribution. Lost contribution is what you consider as an opportunity cost. So 25% of $600,000 will be $150,000. This is the opportunity cost if you do not accept this order. C. 100 pounds of raw material W is processed into 60 pounds of X. 60 pounds of X and 40 pounds of Y. Joint cost of 135 is spent on both of these 100 units of X and Y. X is sold for 2.5. Y can be sold for $3 or processed further into another product Z. 10 pounds are lost in the second process at an additional cost of $60. Each pound of Z can then be sold for $6. What is the effect on profits of processing product Y further into product Z? Now, if you process Y further, your marginal cost or additional cost would be $60. So what will be the benefit? You will be able to sell these 30 pounds at a price of $6. And if you compare this price with the price that split off, 6 is the final price, 3 was the price that split off. Additional price is $3. $3 times 30, 90. So your benefit is 90 of further processing. Cost is 60. So the decision to process further would result in $30 gain, $30 profit. But at the same time, since you are losing 10 pounds in the second process, these 10 pounds could have got you 10 times 3, 30. So basically what you lose in processing is the net gain equal to the further processing. So the total gain is 0. So there will be no change in the operating income. C is the right option. Assume that Whitehall Corporation agreed to sell AM12 to Flank Corporation after further processing for 5.5 per unit. That is the selling price per unit. During the first month of production, Whitehall sold 55,000 units with 10,000 units remaining in the inventory at the end of the month. Joint cost attributable to AM12 were 180 and cost of processing AM12 further was 90. Okay. With respect to AM12, which one of the following statement is correct? So we need operating profit and the value of inventory. Let us calculate. Let us calculate first the total cost of production by dividing 18,000 plus 90,000. This is the joint cost. This is the further processing cost. So it's going to be $270,000 divided by the total units of production. 50 sold, 10 in stock, 60,000. So that will give you the unit cost 4.5. Right. Now you sell each item at 5.5. Your unit cost is 4.5. So your gross profit is $1 per unit. By multiplying $1 with 50,000, so your gross profit is 50,000, and that's the only profitability figure we have available. So either it's A or B. Now, what about the closing stock? You have 10,000 units in the closing stock, each to be valued at the rate of 4.5. So 10,000 times 4.5 is $45,000. Now we know it's B. 50,000 is the profit figure. I would call it gross profit. Operating profit would be a little misleading. And 45,000 would be the value of inventory. B is the right option. A company is considering outsourcing one of the component parts of its product. The company currently makes 10,000 parts per month. Current costs are as follows: direct material, direct labor, fixed plant capacity cost on per unit and total basis. The company decides to purchase the part at $8 per unit from an outside supplier and rents its idle capacity at $5,000 per month. How will the company monthly cost change? Alright, now see. The relevant cost is $4 for material, $3 for labor, so that's $7. Right? We are buying it at $8, so the extra cost is $1. How many units are we buying? 10,000, which means the extra cost is $10,000 per month, which is reduced by renting the facility at $5,000. So extra cost reduced by the rent we receive is the $5,000. So there is an overall increase of cost by $5,000. So the cost will increase by $5,000. That makes C to be the correct option. Net increase is $5,000. There is an overall increase of 10, but there is a reduction of cost by $5,000 rent. So net increase is $5,000. C is the correct option. Whitehall Corporation produces chemicals used in the cleaning industry. During the previous month, Whitehall incurred $300,000 of joint cost in producing 60,000 units of AM12 and 40,000 units of BM36. Whitehall uses the units of production method to allocate the joint costs. Currently, AM12 is sold at 3.5 per unit at the split off. Flank Corporation has approached Whitehall to purchase all the production of AM12 after further processing. The further processing cost will cost Whitehall $90,000. Concerning AM12, which of the following alternative is the most advantageous? Let us first calculate this extra cost on per unit basis. Look at this. This is the extra cost, and we are talking about 60,000 AM12 units. So 90,000 upon 60,000 gives you $1.5. So this $1.5 is the additional processing cost that we need to recover. 3.5 is the lost revenue if we process further. So the overall amount should be more than $5, the extra cost and the lost revenue. So the price has to be more than $5. So Whitehall should process further and sell Flank if the total selling price per unit after further processing is greater than $5. Read all options and you will know why they are not right. A company uses its fixed assets of $1 million at 95% capacity to generate sales of $2 million. The company wishes to generate sales of $3 million. What amount of additional fixed assets must be acquired, assuming that all fixed assets will operate at maximum capacity? So for this we will use the assets turnover by dividing your sales with assets. Right now you are generating sales of 2 million with the assets utilization of 95%, that is 950. If you calculate, the number would be 2 million divided by 950. It is 2.10526, right? Now it says what amount of additional fixed assets must be acquired, assuming that all fixed assets will operate at maximum capacity to generate $3 million worth of sale. And what should be the assets acquisition? So make X the subject of the equation. So you will get 1.425 million. That's what you need to acquire in order to utilize your plant at the full capacity and raise your revenue to $3 million. And right now we have $1 million worth of assets. We need to take it to 1.425, so that means 425 million is the additional investment in assets. That makes A to be the correct option. Milo Corporation sells washers for $350 per unit and incurs product cost of $300. Prime cost for the washers is $150, direct material, direct labor, and the fixed portion of the overhead is $90. Milo receives a special order for 2,000 washers from Adobe. Additional variable manufacturing cost to meet Adobe's specifications are $40 per unit. Milo has sufficient excess capacity and has determined that the sale will not interfere with the regular business. What price must Milo charge Adobe to obtain a 20% markup on variable manufacturing cost basis? Okay, now What we have the prime cost, which is the sum of direct material and direct labor, that is 150. We have the total cost 300, out of which 90 is fixed. That means the variable cost of production is 300 less 90, that is 210. And out of that 210, 150 is the direct material, direct labor. Remaining 210 less 150 would be the variable overheads. That would be then 210 less 150, 60. So now your variable cost is 210 as per the given situation. Since the special order requires production in a unique way, that will increase your cost of manufacturing, variable cost of manufacturing by 40, and that means your variable cost would be 250. And since we want to earn 20% markup on variable manufacturing cost, which is 250, so increasing 250 by 20% will give you $300, and that's A. Match company manufactures a product with the following cost per unit based on a maximum plant capacity of 400,000 units per year. Direct material, relevant, labor, relevant, variable overhead, relevant so far as we know. Fixed cost 30. Match has a ready market for 400,000 units at a selling price of 200 units each. Selling cost in this market consists of $10 per unit shipping and fixed licensing fee of 50,000 per year. Renault company wishes to buy 5,000 of these units on a special order basis. There would be no shipping cost on this special order. What is the lowest price per unit at which Match should be willing to sell the 5,000 units to Renault? Now, what is the relevant cost? Direct material, direct labor, and out of this 40, 10 is the shipping cost, which is irrelevant. We don't need to consider this because there would be no shipping cost on this special order. So we'll take 30 out of it. Adding all these will give you 60 plus 30, 90, and 100. Now, since we are operating at full capacity, all units produced are sold at 200 each. So our regular contribution is 200 less 60, 10, and 40. It is $90. So the loss contribution is 90 on our regular sale, and $100 is the relevant cost for the special order. We must at least be paid $190 so as not to put us in any trouble, neither better off nor worse off. This is the minimum price we'll charge, $190. American coat company estimates 60,000 special zippers will be used in the manufacture of men's jacket during the next year. Reese Zipper Company has quoted a price of 0.6 per zipper. American would prefer to purchase 5,000 units per month, but Reese is unable to guarantee this delivery schedule. In order to ensure availability of the zipper, American is considering the purchase of all 60,000 units at the beginning of the year. Assuming American can invest cash at 8%, the company's opportunity cost of purchasing 60,000 units at the beginning of the year is. Now, this is a very interesting question. If we purchase 5,000 per month, or we purchase 60,000 units for the whole year, there would be a difference in holding cost, carrying cost, which includes opportunity cost. Now, if you order either 5,000 or 60,000, 5,000 is a common amount that is same in both. So the incremental units we are talking, which will cause the difference, are these 55,000 units, which will be purchased at the rate of 0.6 each, 55,000 times 0.6. So it's going to be $33,000 invested in inventory, right? Now the inventory will fall with the passage of time. Your inventory will fall from $33,000 worth of inventory to zero till the end of the year. So your average inventory size is going to be 33 plus 0 upon 2. So it's going to be 16,500. So this is basically your average investment in inventory. Don't take 33,000 and multiply it with 8 because this is the inventory value for the start. If you take for the average number for the whole year, it's going to be 33 plus 0 upon 2. That is 16,500. That is your average investment in inventory, which if we could have invested at 8%, we could have generated a return of 1320. 16,500 multiplied by 8%. The opportunity cost of funds we could have invested at 8%. So we could have generated 1320 as the interest income. That's what we're giving up, and that is the opportunity cost of purchasing in bulk. A is the right option. Richardson Motors uses 10 units of part number T305 each month. in the production of large diesel engines, 10 units each month. The cost to manufacture 1 unit of T305 is as follows: direct material, handling cost, which is 20% of direct material, direct labor, manufacturing overhead, 150% of direct labor. Okay. Material handling cost, which is not included in the manufacturing overhead, represents the direct variable cost of the receiving department that are applied to direct material and purchased components on the basis of their cost, 20% of the total cost of acquisition. Richardson annual manufacturing overhead budget is 1/3 variable and 2/3 fixed. 1/3 variable and 2/3 fixed. Okay. Simpson Casting, one of the Richardson reliable vendor, has offered to supply this component T305 at a unit price of 30,000. Let us first calculate what is the relevant cost of manufacturing. 2,000 for direct material, handling cost for direct material, 16,000 for labor, and 1/3 of the 24,000 variable cost, that's 8,000. If you add all of these, it's going to be 2,400, 16,000 and 8,000. It is 26,400. This is the cost relevant for producing 1 unit of T305. If we buy this component T305 from Richardson, it will cost 30,000 on acquisition and plus 20% of handling cost. So the price total would be 36,000 in total. So if you manufacture yourself, it's 26,400. If you outsource, 30,000 plus 20%, 36,000. The differential between these is 9,600. Now what the question says? It says, if Richardson Motors purchases the 10 T305 from Simpson Casting, the capacity Richardson used to manufacture these parts would be idle. Should Richardson decide to purchase the parts from the Simpson, the out-of-pocket cost per unit would be $9,600 higher. That makes, we just calculated this number, that makes C to be the correct option.